right, Dolphins have made the postseason by the skin of our teeth. And I know it feels like that kid who's at the dance, who's everybody's getting asked to dance by the girls out there, and he's the last one sitting there, and the girl shows up with all the braces and the greasy hair and the Coke bottle, binocular glasses, and he's like, well, at least it's a dance. So I understand how some people who saw the grand old glory times, and even guys like me were somewhere in the middle, like, we're probably going to get blown out. But there's a whole group of people who have very, very little postseason joy. And as the family of Fin fans, for them, it's a good time. And that makes me happy. And I also got to really hold to it that anything can happen on any given Sunday. Who thought we could knock off 150 yards on the Jets this week? So the Patriots played the Bills pretty tight, so maybe we can go in there. We played them tight a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if Tua's going to be in. I don't know if Tehran's going to be in, but anything can kind of happen. So for me, I would like to have seen us dominate this team. I'd like to have seen us have a better record and going with better than a 7 seed, but we're in. Plenty of Dolphin fans are going to be excited. We beat the Bills once early on. They didn't have a secondary, so you hold that in there. But then the next time we played them pretty tight, real tight. I thought if we ran a football, maybe things could have been different. So this will be the third battle. It'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. Anything can happen. So that's a good news, guys. You got to hold on to the good news. Now, for us Fin fans, it could be like lipstick on a pig. We can go in there and maybe we should make some changes. And because we get in, the Dolphins media group is going to kind of just fire one guy in and, pump us up for next year. And it's going to be a lot of the same. I don't know. I'll get into that later. But I'm going to hold on to what's good. Going to hold on to the chances and take all my evaluations up to the stage and then compile it all together and then have that as a cherry on top. Let's see what happens. Now, I'm going to get into the game, the possible downside of us winning for like a long term. There's no downside for us to win because we don't have a draft pick, but long term, maybe it holds us in a holding pattern rather than getting a fresh start on some stuff. So I'll talk about that later. But first, I want to talk about the game. But even before that, I want to say thanks for stopping by on the Dolphins coverage of their playoff trip to Buffalo in 1 week. So I thank you for stopping by, for everything that you do here. You make this channel go, all the likes, the subscribes, the views, the comments especially. Thanks, guys, for everything you've done. I want to give you a shout out to A-Spread, my sponsor, because without them, this show ain't going down. A-Spread's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so the good news, I'm going to deal with the good news. Now, clearly we should have been running the football earlier. I mean, it's very, very clear. The Jets, they're the 15th run defense, so they're not great. They were on the field a lot because the offense was terrible and they got weaker and weaker. So that's add some mitigating context. But clearly we can run the football if we stick with it, if we are vehement in holding to it. And honestly, Eichenberg had not so good a game, but he had a couple blocks here or there, and we ran a lot to the right, and we had some nice pitches to the outside. Still think Jones would have turned this thing into a much bigger positive, but we are able to run with Connor, with Hunt, and with Shell. And when Shell came out, you put Jones in the right guard and Hunt on the other side. We're still able to run a little bit, and Mostert is a guy that, he might not be able to handle a heavy load, but this is a good player. He runs hard, and this is the third week in a row that he's had some big plays, and that's the potential to open things up. Now, we have to remember, too, that the Jets were playing the pass. They said, run on us if you can, and if they had some kind of offense, we probably would have lost, but they didn't. We won, and Hill and Waddle also create special kind of leverage that allows us to do these kind of things. Again, it makes it curious why we didn't, but that's the past. We learned a little bit here. McDaniel's a green coach, and you know what? This was the final stop. He had to learn here. He did. Let's see what happens next week. Got to give credit to Skyler, Clearly, he struggles with going through his progressions. I don't know if he's going to be the quarterback next week or it's going to be 2. I don't know what the deal is. But he did a pretty good job today. He definitely needs to grow, but his movement skills, he throws some nice balls. He's a guy that can develop and maybe be something good. But the run game, the offensive line, this helps a quarterback, especially young quarterbacks. So it was good to see him have a pretty good day. I want to see this kid develop. I want to see him get an offensive line in a run game. This is the good news. Now, going forward, Hill and Waddle, they were contained. Sauce Gardner, unbelievable. Reed, unbelievable. That secondary, unbelievable. Really held everybody down. It was nice to see Mike Gesicki come up with some big plays. It's going to be sad to see him go, but he's got one more game. If we can get a win next week, just imagine how that will feel. Everything that we've seen through the season could flip on its head with one win. Not saying we're going to get it, but it could. So Mike G is a guy that I think we could have done more with him, but it's nice to see this very critical juncture for him to step forward. But one thing that I kept seeing over and over again is we need a dual threat tight end. Guy can inline block and catch. Mike G, obviously, he's gone, but he ain't the guy. Hunt Long, he ain't the guy. Smythe, but he ain't the guy. Ethan Carter's gone. So that's really going to be a key for us in this game coming against the Bills, but certainly going forward. Now, on the offensive line, we had that bad snap by Connor. He's really got to control that. There's been a couple this year, but it's his first season. Overall, as a bonus, I think he's a bonus to the team. Hunt and Shell. I don't know if Shell's going to be able to make it next week. That knee looked messed up, but we'll see. But these are guys at least we can build on. I don't know if Tehran's going to be there next week. I think he might. It could really change things if he was. So, offensive line kind of did enough. They 150 on the ground, balanced to 150 in the air. And so you got to be happy for that. I really didn't like that going for it on the 4th and 6th in the first quarter, but I really loved the punt in the 4th quarter. And so maybe this is an area where McDaniel can learn and grow. Now, I'm going to get into some other stuff behind that, but this is where we're at on the offense. It's unknown what we're going to have going against the Bills, whether we'll be Tua, whether Tehran will be in, whether Shell will be in. We don't know, but at least we're here. Let's see how it goes. Now, defense, that's the part where there's should be a lot of excitement. Doesn't mean we're going to win this game. It doesn't mean we're going to the Super Bowl this year. Doesn't mean we're going to be in the right direction going forward. But tell me Christian Wilkins isn't a great pick. Most amount of tackles than any defensive lineman in 20 or 30 years. Unbelievable. This kid is a great kid. He's a great player. And him and Sealer are guys we got to keep. It's going to be so expensive. But they had an excellent day. Van Ginkel had an excellent day. And Phillips in the run game and in the pass rush. There's a lot of excitement there. Clearly we need help in the second half. We'll get to that. But these guys are studs. Chubb, he was dinged up. He kind of showed a little bit here and there, but not enough. It's hard to say with the hand and everything. But then Kohu had a really good day except for that pass holding that, it's a little ticky-tacky, but stupid of him to do. But overall, he looked pretty good. Now, the problem is X is getting worse and worse. He's really, really, really hurt. And I don't know what that means for our future. I don't know if he can rebound next year because he's been on a downward trajectory and it's a lot to do with health. I don't know if he's going to be healthy going forward. I don't know how healthy he's going to be going against the Bills next week. And that's a big piece because Byron Jones is gone and Kohu's a zone guy. So it does put a little question marks there. We have a lack of depth there. Needham, I believe, is a free agent too. I don't know if we're going to pay for him. We'll see how it goes. Holland had a good game. There's a couple of plays maybe he could have made, but he came through on that blitz. He made some nice tackles. So we got some pieces there. It will be interesting to see how it grades out against the Bills. They had a much harder time against Pats than I thought they would. Got to go back and watch the game. I haven't. I was so tuned up for this game. But clearly we have some pieces. Doesn't all mean the right direction, though. That's the problem. That's the unknown here. Now, if we go in and we win against the Bills, then that's said we're in the right direction. If we go in and even play like a semi-tight game, it gets a little fickle, but I feel good. If we go in and get blown out, though, If we go in and get blown out, that's where the little complications come, because I really feel like Ross is a guy that will not make change unless his feet are put to the fire. And because we squeaked into the playoffs at 9-8, it might be like, hey, we're going to serve Boyer up and we're going to get a new defensive coach and we're going to retool. We're almost there type thing. And maybe we are, but maybe we aren't. And so that's the only downside I can see. Long term. Short term, there is no downside. We don't got a draft pick. Fans will be happy. It'll be interesting to see, But does it create that ambiguity of what really happened this season? Of what we really need to do to take that next step? Let's see what happens. I don't think Greer's our guy. I think Greer is too much under the thumb of Ross, which is always going to be a GM, but he's got to be independent enough to do his own thing. I don't think he's there. I like what he does in some areas, but I really don't like in some other areas. But again, I guess we got to kind of weigh that to what we see in this game coming up against the Bills. I want to thank the Bills fans for beating the Patriots, because then that allowed us entry to go see you guys next week. So here we are. I mean, there was some good stuff. McDaniel made he made some questionable calls, I thought. I thought he went to the well a little bit too much. But overall, I felt good. Here we are. We had the whole evaluation of the season. And I think we just kind of put in an overlay of what we see. But again, it gets a little sticky, because if Tua's not in, if Tehran's not in, if Shell's not in, it makes it really hard. NFL is a game of horses. And if you don't have the right horses, then it gets really, really difficult. But we're in, guys. We're in. It will be interesting to see. Let's see how it plays out. Hey, postseason. Not bad, huh? So try to be happy about it. Try. And let's hope we see something good next week. Curtis saying, catch you next time. Playoffs. Go Fins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with acebread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.